Number 3. Common plants and animals in a rock pool. Relatively few people are fortunate to be able to explore under the water by snorkeling or diving. However, rock pools provide a window into the underwater world that everyone can explore. Rock pools and crevices in rock platforms provide a shelter from severe wave action and protection from drying out at low tide. Therefore, they usually support a sampler of organisms often found in deeper, more sheltered water, as well as those that can withstand the rigours of exposure on the intertidal rock platform. Small pools are often dominated by a few organisms that happen to settle there, but larger ones provide a relatively diverse selection of species. These usually include representatives of all levels of the food web, primary producers, herbivores, and predators. Medium energy shore. Tinderbox Marine Reserve has little wave action except during southerly weather, but has reasonably strong tides and currents from D'Entrecasteaux Channel. The sandy bay usually supports seagrass below low tide, while the rock platform supports many species of algae and associated intertidal organisms. The rock platform with its pools and crevices is an excellent place to explore the intertidal zone at low tide. Intertidal seaweeds. 3 main groups of seaweed can usually be seen at low tide. Green seaweeds are found in the shallowest water closest to the brightest light. Brown seaweeds are usually found slightly deeper than the greens, followed by red seaweed in deeper or shaded waters. Seaweed or algae, including the drifting phytoplankton, are the primary producers of the sea, providing the basis of the food web in the ocean and most of the oxygen in our atmosphere. Green seaweed. This seaweed is commonly called cactus weed because its fronds are made of strings of fleshy bubbles. It is commonly found on medium energy rock platforms under overhangs, as at Tinderbox, or in rock pools. The green colour is from the chlorophyll pigment which the plant uses to convert the sun's energy to chemical energy. Brown seaweed. This familiar seaweed is called Neptune's necklace because it consists of strings of hollow gas-filled beads. Children may know it as a popping weed because the individual bladders can be popped off like beads. It is very common on all sheltered rock platforms at the lower tide level, where it provides very good shelter for many other animals in the pool. Look carefully in and under it to see what you can find. Red seaweed. This pink to mauve alga is very common from moderately exposed coasts to sheltered rock pools. It consists of a series of jointed calcified segments forming feather-like branches. It is often washed up on beaches where it bleaches white and forms part of the sand when it breaks up. Green and red seaweeds also contain green chlorophyll, but it is masked by other brown and red pigments. Siphon shells. Almost at the upper limit of wave action at the Tasman blowhole, a range of these helmet-like shells graze the algal mat on the rocks when the tide comes in. The striped and star-shaped ones are simple limpets, while the blue ones with concentric rings are the more sophisticated air-breathing siphon shells. Each shell returns to the same spot on the rocks every day, wearing the rock away so that the shell forms a good seal to protect it from drying out at low tide. Elephant snail. During the day, this large snail, about 10 centimetres long, hides under ledges and deep in rock crevices, such as on the Blackman's Bay rock platform. At night it emerges to graze on algae. It is a protected species because it used to be harvested in large numbers for its fleshy foot, similar to abalone. Its smooth oval shell is almost covered by its black mantle. It is often washed up on beaches. The spurred, cushion or carpet sea star. This sea star can occur in almost plague proportions in rock pools, but it is often not noticed because of its amazing camouflage colours. The huge range of colours and patterns are apparently genetically controlled. Most have 8 arms, but they can have 7 to 10. The sea stars feed on algae and decaying matter in the pool. Turn it on its back to watch its tube feet stretch out to turn it back over. Rock pool or breadcrumb sponge. This is one of the few sponges that can withstand the bright light in shallow water, but it still prefers encrusting rocks that are partially shaded by weed or rock overhangs. Sponges are the simplest of multicellular animals, being little more than a collection of individual cells in a skeleton that forms a sieve. If broken up, each part will grow into another sponge. However, they do also release male and female gametes into the water to be fertilized. They filter hundreds of litres of water a day, filtering out small plants and animals for food. Very few other animals eat sponges because of the nasty poisons in their cells. Sponges are difficult to identify because their colour and shape can vary in different habitats. For example, in more sheltered areas they grow more upright forms. They are mainly identified by the shape of the silicon spicules in their skeleton. Mussels. Mussels are very common, attached by their byssal threads on rocks at the mid-tide level on moderately exposed coasts. The small species form very dense mats. Genetic tests on the larger edible mussel have shown that it is the same species as the European mussel, probably a relic population. Since mussels, like oysters, are filter feeders, they can accumulate all sorts of organic and inorganic toxins. Therefore it is generally not safe to eat them if they come from a polluted area, such as the Derwent estuary. Barnacles. Barnacles are also filter feeders that can survive the wave action and desiccation high in the intertidal zone. These small shells hide a sophisticated animal closely related to crabs. Charles Darwin first discovered this relationship. Their volcano-like shell is actually made up of a number of segments. When the tide covers them, the two top segments open and they extend their jointed legs to comb small plants and animals out of the water. The half crab. Although most crabs are scavengers, this blue-green crab is another filter feeder. It uses its long antennae and mouth parts to create a current of water from which it filters food. It is now found in hundreds under every stone in almost all rock pools and platforms around Tasmania. It is closely related to lobsters because it has a long abdomen curled under its body which it can use for swimming. It was probably introduced from New Zealand. All crabs have a difficult time mating because they can only mate after the female molts her old shell before her new one hardens. The male usually guards the female when she is ready to molt so he won't miss his chance. They are very vulnerable to other predators when their shell is soft, so they usually hide away deep in crevices when they molt. You may have found perfect but empty crab or lobster shells washed up on the beach. These are their molt shells. Sea squirts or conjovoi. These ugly-looking creatures earn their name from the stream of water they squirt out when trodden on. They have two siphon holes through which they pump water in and out to filter food out of the water. Their body is covered by a horny casing with a pearly lining. That is often all that remains after fishermen have removed the animal for bait. Sea squirts are actually our closest invertebrate relatives. They have a larval form like a tadpole with a primitive nerve cord that swims freely for a short time before settling on its head, losing its tail and becoming a filter bag. The waratah anemone. This flower-like sea anemone is a very familiar sight on all shores. When out of the water it appears like a shiny red plum, but when covered with water it extends its sticky tentacles. Any unsuspecting animal, including small fish and crabs, that blunder into its tentacles is impaled on hundreds of tiny poisonous darts and slowly moved into its mouth. When its prey has been digested, the enemy spits the unwanted bones and shells back out of its mouth. Although a very simple animal, it is notable that it gives birth to fully formed live young. In the right season, a gentle squeeze might produce a miniature adult out of its mouth. The scavenger snail. Every rock pool must have its scavengers to clean up the leftovers and stop the dead bodies from rotting and fouling the pool. Crush a mussel shell, and within a few minutes the body of the mussel will be covered with half a dozen scavenger snails. They have a long siphon that they use to detect the damaged or dead material in the water currents, and also to draw in fresh water when they are feeding on a rotten meal. Sea slug or nudibranch. You might be lucky to find a colourful sea slug in the pool, such as this beautiful pink one that can grow up to 15 centimetres long. Sea slugs are really snails without a shell. Their gills are unprotected on their backs, which explains the common name nudibranch. Their bright colours usually make them easy to see, unless they are feeding on something exactly the same colour. They are also predators, often feeding on sponges. The bright colours are usually a warning to other predators that they are very unpleasant or poisonous to eat. Like all snails and slugs, each animal is a hermaphrodite, with both male and female sex organs. At mating time, many of them congregate in large groups or strings. Each one excites its partner by firing a Cupid's dart into its body to stimulate mating. The biscuit star. The beautiful biscuit star is found in many rock pools, but not usually in large numbers. Its colour and pattern can vary from this orange colour to purples, browns and white. It is another predator which preys on sponges and other encrusting animals and plants. Sea stars have a novel way of eating out. They sit on top of their prey, invert their stomach, and digest the prey outside their body, then absorb the nutrients. The 11-armed sea star. The large sea star is found in large numbers in crevices on most rock platforms. It is an aggressive but patient predator, using its long arms and constant pressure from its tube feet to prise open mollusks or sea squirts. Many sea stars are noted for being able to regrow any arms lost, as the animal in this slide is doing. In fact, it can regrow a whole new body from a detached arm if some of the central disc is attached. Decorator crab. Decorator crabs are often hiding in seaweed, but they are usually not noticed until a bit of seaweed is spotted walking away. They work very hard to maintain a covering of the latest fashioned seaweed to match their surroundings. It is carefully attached to tiny hooks on their shells. These hooks can be seen on the carapaces that wash up on the beach, devoid of their weed. The crabs probably use the camouflage to sneak up on their prey, as well as to protect them from becoming prey to larger animals such as birds. The rock pool octopus. Probably the most exciting animal you might find in a large rock pool is this octopus, which grows up to 1 metre long. You may only see one tentacle trailing from under a ledge, but with patience you might be able to entice this inquisitive animal into view. Although related to the humble Abelonian mussel, an octopus is a very intelligent animal with well-developed eyes, brain and social behaviour. It can slide into the smallest crevices and move with lightning speed to capture its prey, such as rock lobsters, which it then bites with its parrot-like beak. If it is cornered, it changes colour and shape as warning behaviour. A smaller relative, the blue-ringed octopus, flashes its electric blue rings when annoyed, and must not be interfered with because a bite from its beak can be fatal to people.